It's no secret that Intel has pretty much dominated the CPU market in the past decade or so. Is it finally AMD's time to rise? Let's find out. There has been a lot of hype in the past couple of months surrounding AMD's Ryzen launch, and we've definitely jumped on the bandwagon. I'm sure a lot of you are wondering about Ryzen's capability as a gaming platform, but like many of our fellow reviewers, we can't seem to ignore its potential in multi-threaded applications, especially considering its price. We've teamed up with our friends at AMD, MSI, WD, G.Skill, Thermaltake, and C-Zone to bring you this video. While everything you see here is sponsored to us, we reserve the right to an unbiased review to make sure that you get the most accurate information. We're gonna pitch the Ryzen workstation against 3 X99 computers at our office. To ensure that this is a fair comparison, we'll be using identical components other than the CPU and motherboard. So let's talk specs. All these parts are picked for maximum compatibility and reliability for prolonged use. Let's take a closer look. First, we picked the 1700X because of its price to performance ratio and paired it with MSI's flagship X370 gaming titanium motherboard. We opted for an all-in-one cooler for better temperatures and quieter operations. Yes, I noticed the dangling RGB controllers, but I was about to make some changes to the build, so I just decided to leave them up there, indecently exposed. In the memory department, we're using 2 sticks of 16GB G.Skill Ripjaws 5 rated at 3200 MHz. For the graphics card, we're sporting the brand new MSI Gaming X GTX 1080 Ti with a custom PCB. This thing is a beast and should eliminate any GPU bottleneck. The Thermaltake Smart DPS G 650W 80+ gold power supply was chosen for its energy efficiency, smart features, and virtually silent operations. Finally, for storage, we installed a single 250GB WD Blue Sata SSD to run the operating system and applications. We'll be using our trusty Samsung 850 EVO with an Atomos docking station as a portable media drive for video editing, as projects often get passed around at the office. With its glass sides and steel construction, the Thermaltake View 31 is perfect for our Ryzen workstation, and it is stylish yet relatively inconspicuous in work environments. We'll do a full review on this case soon, so be sure to check it out. So, how much is all this gonna cost you? According to C-Zone's price list in July 2017, you should be paying around 9,725 ringgit. In the US, this build only costs $1,738. You lucky.
Son of a biscuit eater.
How does our Ryzen 7 CPU and motherboard combo compare to Intel's offerings? Against the equally spec'd octa-core 5960X with the Asus Rampage 5 Extreme, the Ryzen 7 combo is about half the price. With the same amount of money, you can only get the 6800K with 6 cores and an Asus X99 A2. And just because we can, we've included our 18 cores Xeon Mini ITX configuration into the bunch to see if paying 4 times the money actually yields 4 times as much performance in workstation applications. To cover as much ground as possible in the testing, we've done 2 sets of benchmarks, one based on the IDA64 software, and the other is just a random set of benchmarks that we stole from Linus. Please don't kill us. After that, we'll show you a set of real-world benchmarks based on Adobe Media Encoder, Premiere Pro, and After Effects. Let's get cracking. Hi-ho, hi-ho, your mother's a... We'll kick off IDA64 benchmarks with PhotoWorks, and Ryzen surprisingly pulls ahead. Though the memory test shows that it holds its own, we couldn't get the RAM to go above 2666 MHz no matter how hard we pushed it. In parallel processing workloads, Ryzen kicked major ass. Perhaps due to its fast caching, AMD's advancements in cryptology and hashing optimization made Ryzen wipe the floor with its competition in both AES 256 and CPU hash. Moving on to floating point unit tests, In both VP8 and Cinjulia, Ryzen's performance is extremely impressive considering how much more we had to spend on our Intel processors. Finally, we did a stability test that confirmed that our Ryzen 1700X was stable at a 4.0 GHz overclock. In terms of power consumption, Ryzen is neck and neck with its Intel competitors. In the RAM-intensive Y cruncher, Ryzen's memory weakness gave it subpar results. Cinebench, which is more indicative of real-world usage, shows Ryzen placing first in the multi-threaded test while biting dust in the single-threaded one. Next, CPU Mark's single-threaded test puts Ryzen at the bottom of the heap while sitting in between 5960X and 6800K in overall. I'm beginning to see a pattern here. Again in real bench, Ryzen gets owned in the single-threaded image editing test while killing it in H.264 video encoding. I'm a little bit baffled by its poor performance in heavy multitasking though. Ryzen also does okay in 7-zip, and the 8.0 test showed no storage bottleneck. What really intrigued me was Ryzen's performance for gaming with DirectX 12, so I ran the TimeSpy benchmark and surely enough, I was very impressed to see just how well it managed to hold its ground. Onto real-world benchmarks, Ryzen certainly proved that it's a worthy adversary for Intel with excellent performances in Premiere Pro, After Effects and Media Encoder. The numbers speak for themselves. It seems like we finally have a contender to Intel's reign of supreme. With Ryzen, AMD has provided us with excellent performance, especially in professional applications, at a significantly lower cost. So, what are you waiting for? As a follow-up to this video, we'll be hooking this baby up with custom liquid cooling. Give us a like, subscribe, or leave a comment down below if you have any questions regarding Ryzen or PC hardware in general. We'll see you next time. Are we done yet?